The great alien council chamber was filled with light, sound, and laughter. Rows of high seats rose in tiers like mountains, each occupied by leaders of powerful species. Tall beings with crystal skins sparkled under the dome. Insectoid rulers clicked their mandibles in amusement. Feathered diplomats shook their wings, whispering jokes to each other. They had gathered for an important meeting, but their mood was far from serious. The reason was simple: the humans. Whispers had spread across the galaxy that Earth was building a warship, a ship meant to stand against the fleets of the Council. The very idea made the chamber burst into laughter. To the Council, humans were newcomers, small, fragile, late to space. Their planet was rich in oceans and forests, but poor in power. Compared to the mighty fleets of the empires, humanity was a candle against a star. One insectoid leader slammed his claw on the table and hissed, "A warship? From Earth? What will it be? An armored shuttle with kitchen knives taped to the hull?" Laughter shook the hall. A reptilian general leaned forward, his scales glinting. "Perhaps they plan to scare us with paintings of their battles. Humans are good at stories, not at war." The hall roared again, but not everyone laughed. A few alien envoys shifted uneasily. They remembered small battles along the edges of space where humans had fought harder than expected. They remembered outposts where alien troops reported strange defeats against small human forces. Still, the majority drowned out those doubts with their pride. To them, humans were weak, and their so-called warship would be nothing more than a joke. Then, the heavy doors at the end of the chamber opened. The sound of laughter slowly faded. All eyes turned. Walking through the entrance was a single human envoy. He was not tall compared to the aliens. He had no glowing armor, no sharp claws, no weapons. He wore a plain dark suit, simple and unadorned. His expression was calm, his steps steady. The mocking voices grew quiet. Something about his silence made the council restless. He stopped at the center of the chamber. The light of the dome shone on his face, pale but firm. He carried nothing but a small crystal in his hand. His eyes swept across the room slowly, calmly, and for a moment even the loudest alien lords felt uneasy. The insectoid leader clicked angrily. "Human, why do you disturb this council with your toy crystals? Speak and leave us to our true matters." The human did not answer right away. He simply placed the crystal on the council's central table. The device lit up, glowing blue, and projected images into the air. At first, the aliens leaned forward in curiosity. The images showed deep space, stars fading behind a massive shadow. But the details were blurry, the scale hard to read. "Another trick," muttered the reptilian general. "A shadow to scare children." Yet even as he spoke, a hush fell across the chamber. The shadow stretched across half the screen, blotting out entire starfields. No one could measure its length. The data streams on the side of the projection showed readings beyond what their ships usually produced. The human finally spoke, his voice calm but carrying across the hall. "You laugh at Earth. You believe we are weak. You expected us to remain small. But the ship you mock is already built. It is not theory. It is not rumor. It moves now across your borders." Silence crashed through the chamber. Every council member stared at the human as if struck. For the first time that day, no one laughed. The insectoid leader clicked nervously. "A fabrication. It must be an illusion. Our scouts would have seen it." The human's eyes narrowed. "Your scouts did see it. They did not return." A murmur swept through the hall. Whispers turned into shouts. Screens around the chamber flickered with fragments of intercepted transmissions. Panicked voices of alien pilots cut off mid-scream. Distorted images of something vast, something impossible, hovered in the air for seconds before fading. The reptilian general slammed his clawed fist against the rail. "Lies. Humans cannot build such things. Show us proof." The human envoy did not move. He simply turned the crystal again. The projection shifted. For only a second, the chamber was filled with the blurred outline of a ship so massive it seemed like a moving continent. Its hull stretched far beyond the borders of the image, its lights glowing like cities against the void. Then the projection cut to black. Gasps echoed in the silence. Even the proudest voices fell quiet. The alien counselors, who had laughed so boldly minutes ago, now sat frozen in disbelief. The human picked up the crystal and closed his hand around it. His voice was steady, unshaken, but heavy like iron. You expected a tiny ship. What you face is not tiny. What you face is survival made steel. The choice is yours. Believe or wait until it arrives. The chamber was still, every alien held by a mix of fear and doubt. Outside, in the cold darkness of space, something stirred, something vast. The final image on the chamber's central screen flickered back to life without the crystal's touch. It showed only a faint silhouette moving across the stars. The figure was larger than any alien dreadnought, larger than anything the Council had ever known. The image blurred, then cut to black again. Gasps and whispers filled the air. The mocking laughter was gone. Every eye turned toward the human envoy, but he simply stood calm and silent. The cliffhanger hung like a blade over the chamber. Was the shadow real? Was Earth truly capable of building such a monster of war? Or was the galaxy about to witness something even greater than their worst fear? The Council did not laugh again that day. The Council chamber remained restless long after the human envoy left. Whispers spread like fire, racing through every corner of the galaxy. Was it true? Could Earth really have built a battleship so large that it cast shadows over entire starfields? The proudest voices of the Council dismissed it as trickery, yet unease twisted their faces. And then came the orders. Scouts must be sent. Soon, fleets of alien recon ships departed from their stations, cutting across the stars toward human territory. They were swift, sleek, designed for stealth and speed. The Council expected their return within hours, confident that the truth would be revealed. To them, it was impossible. Earth was too young, too small, too weak. The first squad of scouts entered a sector near the human borders. The space here was quiet, unusually quiet. No trade routes, no drifting debris, only silence. Their long-range sensors stretched out like invisible nets, searching for the rumored battleship. At first, nothing appeared. The aliens laughed over comms, calling the humans liars and cowards. But then one of the sensors twitched. The scout leader leaned closer to his console. "Report, what is that distortion?" On the screen, a ripple appeared across the starfield. It was not a planet, not an asteroid, but a shifting shadow that blocked the light of distant suns. It was as if something massive was moving, yet too faint to lock onto. "Their scanners strained, producing only static. Glitch," muttered one pilot. "Just a scanner ghost." But then the ripple spread. Whole constellations vanished behind it. The shadow was larger than their fleet, larger than any ship in their records. Fear crept into their voices. The scout leader activated a direct feed back to the Council. "We have detected something. Scale unknown. Shape unknown. Recommend reinforcements." The feed crackled, then cut out. Inside the Council chamber, static hissed across the big screens. For a moment, a single image came through, something vast, too close to fit in the frame. Rows of lights glowed like cities on its surface. Then the transmission ended. The councillors sat frozen, their wings, claws, and tentacles trembling. "Coincidence," a reptilian warlord growled. "We will send another squad. Larger, better armed," and so they did. The second wave of scouts numbered in the dozens. They jumped through space with confidence, their ships bristling with weapons. They were sure the humans had deployed a decoy, a trick of light. But as soon as they entered the sector, the same shadow appeared. This time the outline was clearer. It was no planet, no station. It was a structure with edges, engines, and turrets that glowed faintly in the darkness. The aliens gasped over comms. Some began to panic. "It's impossible. The size. This ship is larger than 10 of our dreadnoughts combined." The scout leader steadied his voice. "Calm yourselves. It must be a station. Humans cannot build this." They approached slowly, weapons primed. The shadow loomed larger, stretching beyond the reach of their scanners. Then, without warning, their systems failed. One by one, their ships went dark. Lights blinked out. Engines cut off. The last scout in the formation screamed into his comm as his ship shook violently. "It sees us! It's—" The signal died, Back in the council chamber, the screens once again went black. The insectoid leader trembled, his mandibles clattering. All of them lost? The reptilian general slammed his tail against the floor. Lies! Trickery! No human ship could disable a fleet so easily. But even his voice shook with doubt. As panic spread, more fragments of intercepted transmissions played across the chamber. Shouts, screams, static, and then silence. Not one scout returned. The human envoy, silent all this time, finally rose from his seat. His calm eyes swept across the council chamber. "We asked to be left in peace," he said. "You chose to mock us. Now you have seen a glimpse. Do you still laugh?" The hall fell into dead silence. Far from the council, deep in the void, the truth stirred. The human battleship drifted slowly, its massive hull swallowing the light of distant stars. Its armor stretched for miles, its engines glowing faintly like the heart of a giant. The ship was alive with power, but it remained silent, watching. Alien sensors tried again and again to measure it, but every scan returned the same answer. Error. The scale was too large, the readings beyond calculation. The ship blocked signals like a black wall. Whole fleets disappeared inside its shadow, never to return. Within its vast hangars, human soldiers prepared in silence. Their armor gleamed black under the cold lights. They did not cheer or laugh. They only waited for the command, their weapons in hand, their faces hard. The galaxy had underestimated them. The council had mocked them. But now the truth was clear. Earth had built something no one believed possible. The battleship moved. Slowly, like a mountain waking, its engines roared. The soundless wave of power shook the sector. Stars bent behind it, space itself trembling at its mass. And then its course shifted. Straight toward the alien borders, the cliffhanger fell heavy, leaving only one question burning in every mind across the galaxy. Would the Council's fleet stop it, or was this the beginning of their end? The alien council had not met in such silence for centuries. No laughter filled the chamber now. No wings rustled, no claws tapped, no voices mocked. The images from the scouts still lingered in every mind, ships swallowed by a shadow so vast it seemed like a world. But pride dies slowly. A tall crystalline delegate rose, his body glowing faintly under the dome lights. "It is a trick," he declared, though his voice wavered. "Humans are storytellers. They play with illusions. Their shadow is nothing but smoke and mirrors." Others nodded quickly, eager to grab his words and push down their fear. But before their agreement grew strong, the human envoy stepped forward again. He had been silent, still, like a statue in the center of the chamber. Now he placed the small crystal on the table once more. "You think we lie," he said calmly. "Then look for yourself." The crystal pulsed and the screens came alive. This time the image was not blurred, not broken. A direct transmission, clean and sharp, filled the chamber. Gasps shook the hall. A ship emerged from the blackness of space. Not a fleet, not a station, one ship. But it was so immense it filled the screen edge to edge. Its hull stretched like a continent, armored in layers that glowed with faint blue light. Massive turrets, the size of city towers, lined its spine. Thousands of lights dotted its surface like stars, each one a window, each one alive. It moved with the weight of mountains, yet faster than dreadnoughts. Its engines burned with a deep white glow, brighter than the suns behind it. This was no shadow. This was real. The council erupted into chaos. Alien voices overlapped, some shouting in disbelief, some demanding war, some whispering in fear. The reptilian general slammed his claws into the rail, his scales trembling. "It cannot be true. This violates every law of shipbuilding. No world, no empire could build such a thing." The human envoy's eyes flicked toward him, steady and cold. "You underestimated humanity. We were born on a death world. You thought us fragile, but Earth's survival demanded more. Every storm, every predator, every war carved us into what you see now. We built not to impress you. We built to survive you." The insectoid leader clicked wildly, mandibles clashing in panic. "Impossible! No ship this large can move. No reactor can power it." The human raised his hand. The projection zoomed closer, revealing the heart of the ship. Rows of reactors glowing like chained suns, engines designed not by one nation, but by all of Earth together. "You are wrong," he said softly. "It does move, and it comes." The council chamber shook as transmissions flooded in from border stations. One outpost after another reported the same thing, a massive object entering their sectors, readings spiking off the charts. On the chamber's central screen, live footage played. A squadron of alien destroyers surrounded the battleship, tiny in comparison. They circled like insects around a mountain. Their weapons flashed, beams of plasma crashing against the human hull. But the light simply vanished, swallowed by shimmering shields. Not even a scratch marked the massive armor. The destroyers panicked, pulling back. The battleship did not fire, not yet. It simply turned, its colossal body rotating in silence, and its weapons unfolded. Dozens of cannons extended from hidden bays. Missile silos opened like yawning mouths. Railguns, each the size of an alien capital ship, shifted into position. The sight alone froze the council in horror. "Mercy," one feathered diplomat whispered, his wings drooping. "They have built a god of war." The human envoy let the silence stretch before speaking again. His voice was calm, but the words were iron. "You expected a tiny ship. You face something greater than your fleets. Remember this? Humanity asked for peace. It is you who mocked. It is you who threatened. Now you see the answer we built." The crystalline delegate tried to recover his pride, his glow flickering nervously. "It is only one ship, one against thousands. Our fleets will drown it in fire." Even as he spoke, a transmission came through, raw and sharp. A fleet of 100 alien dreadnoughts had engaged the battleship. The chamber held its breath as the feed began. In the darkness of space, the human ship remained still, almost patient. Alien dreadnoughts opened fire, plasma and missiles filling the void. For a moment, the stars vanished under the storm. And then the light cleared. The battleship remained, untouched, unbroken. The councillors trembled as they watched. Then slowly, the human ship's cannons rotated. Lights flashed along its hull. Energy built like a storm, brighter and brighter, until the cameras overloaded. The feed cut off with static. In the chamber, no one spoke. The silence was heavier than steel. The human envoy lowered his hand, his face calm, his eyes sharp. "The unveiling is done," he said. "Now you must decide. Will you continue to mock, or will you face what comes next?" Before anyone could answer, the chamber's emergency screens flickered on. Live feeds from the border flared into view, an entire alien fleet, the largest in generations, rushing to intercept. Their numbers filled the stars. Hundreds, maybe thousands of ships, and in their path, unmoving, waiting, stood Earth's battleship. The cliffhanger snapped like a blade. The galaxy's might against one ship. Who would break first? The stars near the border burned bright with the heat of engines. Hundreds of alien ships swarmed into formation, their silver hulls gleaming under distant suns. Cruisers, destroyers, dreadnoughts, all gathered into a fleet so vast that it stretched across entire sectors. The alien council had ordered it. The humans had shown their monster, their battleship, and now the council would crush it with overwhelming force. Alien commanders spoke with confidence. No matter how large the ship, it cannot face numbers like this. Fire will drown it. Shields will fail. Hull will crack. Humans will kneel. Their words echoed across comms, loud enough to hide their fear. For deep inside, every officer remembered the scouts that never returned. The dreadnoughts that fired and vanished from comms, and there it was. The human battleship floated silently in the dark. Alone. No fleet around it. No escorts. No allies. One ship against thousands. Yet its presence filled the void. Its size dwarfed even the largest dreadnoughts. Where alien cruisers looked like daggers, the human ship was a mountain, bristling with cannons and glowing faintly with power. The alien fleet moved closer. Beams of scanning light cut across its hull. Readings flashed wildly on their consoles. Shields thicker than any ever recorded, weapons unknown, reactors burning with impossible power. "Do not be afraid," barked an alien admiral. It is still one ship. One cannot defeat many. In the Grand Council chamber, the alien leaders leaned forward to watch the live broadcast. Their faces twitched with nervous pride. They told themselves this was the moment humanity would be humbled. The human envoy, however, remained calm, his arms folded behind his back. His silence was heavier than their boasts. In space, the first order was given. Attack! Hundreds of alien ships lit the darkness with fire. Plasma bolts screamed across the void. Torpedoes streaked forward like falling stars. Dreadnought cannons roared, their blasts shaking the very fabric of space. The entire human battleship was engulfed in light, swallowed by an ocean of fire. The aliens cheered. The council roared. The reptilian general stood tall, his claws raised. There, you see, nothing survives such force. But the light began to fade, and when it did, silence filled every voice. The human battleship was still there. Its shields shimmered faintly, glowing blue like a calm sea after a storm. Not a single scar marked its vast hull. The fire of hundreds of ships had meant nothing. Alien crews froze in disbelief. Shields, still intact, not even weakened. Panic cracked their voices. The battleship moved. Slowly, almost gently, it rotated. Its colossal cannons extended into position, sliding forward like the arms of a giant waking from slumber. Massive railguns shifted, each barrel stretching longer than an alien cruiser. Turrets glowed red, charging with light. From the ship's underbelly, missile bays opened. Rows upon rows of warheads armed and ready. The alien fleet stopped cheering. Fear seeped into every voice. In the council chamber, the insectoid leader's mandibles clattered nervously. It has not even fired yet. The human envoy finally spoke. His voice was quiet, yet it carried across the chamber with the weight of thunder. We asked for peace. You answered with fire. Now we answer. The battleship's forward cannons lit up. In one deafening moment they fired. A single railgun shot tore through the void, faster than light could carry. It struck an alien dreadnought head-on. The ship, proud and massive, exploded in silence, fragments scattering like ash. One shot, one kill, then the second shot fired. And the third. Every shot claimed a ship, sometimes two at once, piercing through entire formations. Alien captains screamed. Fleets tried to scatter, but missiles streaked after them, splitting into dozens of smaller warheads. Cruisers vanished in blossoms of fire. Destroyers cracked apart, their engines ripped free. The void became a graveyard of burning wrecks. In the chamber, chaos erupted. Councillors shouted, wings flaring, claws pounding on rails. Fear turned to rage. Rage turned to panic. Some demanded retreat. Others demanded reinforcements. But none could look away from the screen. The human battleship continued its slow march forward, unstoppable, its weapons firing in perfect rhythm. Every blast was precise, every strike deliberate. Alien fleets that had once seemed endless were being cut down like grass before a blade. Still, more ships came. Reinforcements jumped in, fresh waves of cruisers and carriers. The void lit up once more as thousands of alien weapons unleashed everything they had. The battleship disappeared again inside a sea of fire. Now, screamed the reptilian general. Now it must fall. But as the blaze faded, the truth was revealed. The human battleship still stood. Its shields flared but did not falter. Its cannons glowed brighter. Its engines burned stronger. The ship looked less like a machine now and more like a god of war, wrapped in fire yet untouched. On board the massive vessel, human soldiers waited in silence. Armored and ready, they stood in the hangars as dropships lined up behind glowing launch doors. Their faces were grim, their eyes steady. They did not cheer. They only waited for the command. Back in the void, the alien fleet scrambled. Fear spread faster than orders. Captains shouted over each other, their voices cracking. We cannot hold. We cannot. The comms cut to static as another squadron vanished under human fire. The battleship's railguns rotated again, slower this time, locking onto something far greater. The alien flagship. A massive vessel, larger than cities, bristling with weapons. It stood at the heart of the fleet, leading the charge. The human envoy in the council chamber lifted his head. His eyes glinted coldly. Watch closely, he said. The chamber screens zoomed in. The human battleship's main cannon charged. Energy built across its spine, brighter, brighter, until it looked like a newborn star. Alien commanders shouted orders, shields raised, weapons primed. Every ship around the flagship turned their fire on the battleship, desperate to stop it. The glow reached its peak. The cannon fired. The screen went white, and then silence. The feed cut. The last thing the council saw was the terrified faces of their flagship's bridge crew as the human cannon fired straight toward them, fell sharp and final. Would the galaxy's strongest flagship survive the shot, or had humanity just erased their pride in a single strike? The chamber lights flickered as the broadcast cut to static. For long seconds, the alien council sat frozen in silence. Not one dared to speak. The image of the human cannon firing still burned in their minds, a weapon so bright it outshone the stars. Then, slowly, the screens came back to life. What they saw made even the proudest alien leaders tremble. The alien flagship, the pride of the fleet, was gone. Where it once floated like a fortress in space, there was now only a burning cloud of debris. Its engines, its towers, its banners, all shattered in one strike. Fragments drifted across the void, glowing red as they spun into silence. Gasps rippled through the council chamber. Some cried out in disbelief, others screamed in rage, but most sat still, horror in their eyes. The reptilian general pounded his claws on the rail, his voice cracking. No, impossible. That ship was the strongest vessel of our kind. The human envoy did not smile. He only lowered his gaze slightly, his voice calm and heavy. Your strongest was nothing before ours. In space, the slaughter continued. Alien fleets that once stretched across sectors were breaking apart. The human battleship moved slowly but with purpose, its railguns firing in steady rhythm. Each shot ripped through cruisers and dreadnoughts, tearing them apart as if they were fragile toys. Missiles streaked from its bays, splitting into swarms that hunted down fleeing ships. The void burned with fire and wreckage. Alien commanders shouted desperate orders. Form a wall. Surround it! Bring it down! But their formations collapsed as fast as they were made. Ships collided in panic, some fleeing blindly into asteroid fields, others slamming into each other as they tried to escape. The insectoid leader in the chamber shook violently, mandibles clicking. They must not. One ship cannot do this. The human envoy turned his cold eyes on him. You are wrong. One ship can do this, if that ship is human. On board the battleship, deep inside its armored core, human crews worked in silence. Engineers monitored reactors burning hotter than suns. Gunners lined up shot after shot, targeting alien flagships with precision. Soldiers waited in hangars, armored and armed, ready to board when the order came. Their discipline was perfect. No cheers, no panic, no doubt. Only resolve. The alien fleet tried once more. Reinforcements poured in, carriers launching endless waves of strike craft. Thousands of small fighters swarmed toward the battleship, their wings glinting under the stars. For a moment, the void filled with more ships than any eye could count. Inside the council chamber, hope flickered again. Yes, a feathered diplomat whispered. So many fighters. Even their giant cannot hold against such a storm, but the storm never touched it. From the battleship's sides, panels slid open. Hundreds of automated defense turrets rose, glowing with energy. In perfect unison, they fired. The void lit up like a storm of lightning. Fighters exploded by the dozens, then hundreds, vanishing in fire before they came near the hull. Waves that should have overwhelmed the ship instead vanished like sparks against an ocean. Alien counselors gripped their seats in disbelief. Every attack destroyed. They cannot even reach its armor. Then the battleship unleashed its full power. Dozens of railguns fired together, tearing through entire lines of dreadnoughts. Massive missile clusters broke into swarms of fire, chasing ships across the sector. Plasma lances from hidden turrets cut through carriers, splitting them in two. In minutes, whole fleets that had taken centuries to build were reduced to wreckage. The chamber was filled with cries. "Retreat! Retreat now!" One shouted. Another roared, "No! Send more! We must crush them." But the truth was undeniable. Every move, every desperate strike only ended the same way. With human fire tearing them apart, the human envoy raised his hand and the chamber fell silent again. His voice was low, but every word cut through the air. "We warned you. We asked for peace. You mocked us. You threatened us. Now you see what humanity brings when forced to war," the reptilian general hissed, slamming his tail against the floor. "This cannot last. They will run out of power, out of ammunition. One ship cannot fight forever." The human's calm expression never changed. "Then you should pray it does not need to." In the void, the alien fleets shattered completely. Survivors fled in panic, their engines burning as they tried to escape. The battleship did not chase them. It only turned slowly, its massive hull gliding across the wreckage. Its engines roared like thunder, shaking the stars themselves. But then, sensors caught something new. Another wave of alien ships appeared, larger than any before. Hundreds of dreadnoughts, carriers and cruisers poured into the sector. They filled the stars, stretching farther than eyes could follow. The chamber screens lit up with the feed. The councillors leaned forward, fear and hope twisting together. The insectoid leader whispered, This must be enough. No single ship can face this." For the first time, the human envoy's eyes darkened. He clasped his hands behind his back, his voice quiet but sharp. "Then watch!" The alien reinforcements charged forward, weapons burning. The human battleship stopped moving, its hull lit with lines of power, glowing brighter and brighter until the entire ship looked like it was alive with fire. In its hangars, soldiers boarded dropships. Engines roared as bay doors opened. Armored humans prepared to storm enemy vessels, silent and grim. The council chamber shook with tension. "What are they doing?" One delegate cried. The screen zoomed in as the human battleship's main launch bays opened. Hundreds of dropships floated in the dark, engines igniting, ready to strike. Humanity was not done with weapons. Now they were unleashing their soldiers. The void was filled with fire. Alien reinforcements charged in waves, their dreadnoughts stretching across the sector like a wall of steel. Carriers opened their bays, releasing endless swarms of fighters. Cruisers formed tight formations, their shields overlapping to create a barrier of light. This was the largest fleet the Council had ever gathered in one place. Inside the alien council chamber, delegates leaned forward in nervous hope. Their voices whispered, clawed hands clutched the rails, feathered wings twitched. Now it must fall, they told themselves. No warship, not even theirs, can stand against this many. The human envoy did not move. His face remained calm, unreadable. His silence was heavier than their desperate hope. In space, the alien fleets unleashed everything. Thousands of plasma bolts streaked across the dark, filling the void with burning light. Missiles rained like a storm of fire, detonating across the battleship's hull. Railgun slugs screamed, ripping through the void faster than sound. The human battleship disappeared inside the blaze. From the council chamber, it looked like the stars themselves had died. The screen glowed white with destruction, and the chamber shook with cheers. The reptilian general roared, slamming his tail on the floor. Yes, at last, it cannot survive this. But as the fire faded, the cheering died. The human battleship still stood. Its shields shimmered, glowing blue, battered but unbroken. Its massive hull carried scorch marks that healed as they watched. Self-repair systems sealing wounds faster than they were made. Its engines burned brighter, its weapons charged hotter. The ship looked less like a vessel now and more like a creature. Something alive, something unstoppable. The insectoid leader's mandibles clicked in terror. No ship should endure that. And then the battleship answered. Its turrets fired in perfect rhythm. Railguns ripped through cruisers, shredding their shields like paper. Plasma cannons spat fire that consumed whole formations. Swarms of missiles launched, splitting into smaller and smaller warheads, chasing fighters until none remained. The void turned into a storm of explosions. Still the alien fleet pressed forward. Commanders screamed for sacrifice. "Surround it!
Cut it off!
Overwhelm!" Their ships swarmed like insects against a giant. They smashed into the human shields, they rammed, they detonated themselves in suicide runs. Yet the battleship endured. Every attack failed, but then the humans revealed more. The massive launch bays of the battleship opened wide. From its heart, hundreds of dropships poured into the void. Each one was armored, and filled with human soldiers in black steel armor. Engines flared as they cut through the chaos, heading straight for enemy flagships. Alien captains panicked. Boarding craft. Stop them! Stop them! Fighters scrambled, but human turrets tore them apart before they could get close. The dropships pierced the fleets like arrows, slamming into alien hulls. Inside, the real battle began. Armored human soldiers stormed alien corridors, their boots pounding on steel floors. Plasma bolts rained against their armor but bounced away. The soldiers moved like shadows, silent and unshaken. Their rifles spat fire that cut down defenders in seconds. They advanced with deadly precision, clearing rooms, seizing command decks, tearing control away from alien captains. Council delegates watched in horror as live feeds showed their proud flagships falling one by one. Crews screamed for help, alarms blared, then silence. The human soldiers planted banners in alien halls, cold eyes shining under their helmets. The feathered diplomat in the chamber slumped back, wings drooping. They are not soldiers. They are executioners. But the battle outside was not yet won. The alien fleets kept pouring in, hundreds of new ships joining the fray. The battleship fired again and again, but the numbers were endless. Even humanity's might seemed tested. Shields dimmed, engines groaned. The glow of its cannons flickered under the strain. For the first time, the great vessel seemed to slow. The reptilian general hissed, his scales trembling. Yes! It weakens. Push harder! Break it now. Alien dreadnoughts surrounded the battleship on all sides. Their weapons fired together, a storm of light and fire crashing against its hull. The void shook with their fury. For a moment, the great ship vanished once more in the blaze. Inside its armored core, human crews worked furiously. Warning lights flashed red across consoles. Engineers shouted over the roar of reactors, diverting power, stabilizing shields. Soldiers braced as the ship trembled, its metal body groaning under the storm. "Hold," one officer whispered. "Just hold." And then the blaze faded. The battleship was still there, battered, scarred, but alive. Its shields flared back to life, brighter than before. Its hull glowed, sealing itself. Its engines roared with renewed fury. It had survived again, but the cost showed. Across its vast surface, scars still burned. The galaxy's greatest weapon had endured, but not without strain. In the council chamber, the silence was crushing. Some delegates whispered in awe. Others sat pale with fear. The insectoid leader's mandibles shook. If it can survive this, then nothing can stop it. The human envoy looked up at the screens. His voice was low, sharp, steady. "This was your test. You gave everything. Yet we still stand," the reptilian general spat in fury. "You cannot last forever. Even your monster must fall. We will gather more, burn more, sacrifice more. You cannot fight eternity." The human envoy's eyes narrowed, his face unreadable. "Then perhaps eternity will belong to us." In space, the human battleship shifted its course. Slowly, its cannons rotated. Sensors locked onto something new. Not a fleet, not a cruiser. Something far greater. The chamber screens flickered as alien officers cried out. No, not that. It's targeting the homeworld." The council froze, horror in their eyes. Earth's battleship was charging its weapons, not at ships, but at the heart of the alien empire itself. The alien council chamber was no longer filled with laughter, no longer filled with boasts. The great hall trembled under the weight of silence as the screens showed the impossible. Earth's battleship had survived everything. Whole fleets had been thrown against it. Waves of dreadnoughts, carriers, and fighters. Yet it remained, scarred but alive, stronger than ever, and now its cannons pointed at the alien homeworld. Panic rippled through the council. Feathered diplomats screeched in fear. Insectoid leaders clattered their mandibles. Reptilian generals slammed claws against the floor. "They cannot," one shouted. "No species would dare." Another hissed, "They will not destroy a world. It would mean the end of peace forever. But their words were thin, weak, like glass cracking under pressure. The human envoy stood calmly at the center, his face pale but unshaken. His voice was cold, steady. "We did not seek this war. We asked for peace. You answered with mockery and fire. Now you see what humanity brings when it is pushed to the edge." The screens shifted again. From the battleship's launch bays, more dropships poured into the void, swarming toward alien vessels, still clinging to formation. Engines blazed as they cut through space like arrows loosed from a bow. Their target was not just ships now, it was the very heart of alien command. On board the alien dreadnoughts, alarms screamed. Crews scrambled to defend, locking doors, priming turrets. But nothing stopped the human storm. Dropships slammed into hulls, cutting through armor with drills and explosives. The sides of proud alien vessels cracked open, and black-armored humans surged inside. The battle in the corridors was swift and brutal. Alien soldiers fought desperately, their plasma rifles flashing against the shadows. But human soldiers advanced like an iron tide. Their armor absorbed fire that should have torn them apart. Their rifles spat precise bursts, dropping enemies with ruthless efficiency. Blades flashed in the dark as they cut through hand-to-hand combat. Faster and stronger than the defenders expected, every step forward belonged to humanity. Council members gripped their seats, forced to watch the live feeds. Cameras on alien ships showed humans breaking through command centers, tearing banners from the walls, and seizing control. Alien admirals screamed for reinforcements, only to fall under human fire. One by one their ships went silent, swallowed by human hands. The insectoid leader shook violently. They are Death Worlders," he whispered, voice breaking. "Every one of them." A predator. Inside the battleship's massive hangar, new waves of soldiers prepared. Rows of armored humans lined up in silence, their boots pounding in rhythm. Dropships returned, scarred but victorious, unloading prisoners and dragging alien officers in chains. No cheers rose from the humans, no words of triumph. They were disciplined, grim, and merciless. The alien counselors watching realized something chilling. Humans did not fight for glory. They fought to end their enemies. Out in the void, alien fleets collapsed. Survivors fled wherever they could, their formations broken, their command shattered. Some ships tried to surrender, sending desperate signals. But human soldiers were already inside, their flags planted on alien decks. The reptilian general in the chamber hissed, his scales twitching with rage and fear. "This is no war. This is annihilation." The human envoy turned toward him, his eyes cold. "You called for war. You mocked us as weak. Now you see how wrong you were." But the galaxy's nightmare was not finished. The battleship's main cannon charged again. Its spine glowed brighter and brighter until the void lit like a second sun. Its targeting systems locked not on ships but on the alien homeworld itself, a planet covered in glittering cities, shining with towers and spires, the heart of the Council's pride. The chamber filled with cries. No, they would not dare. They cannot destroy a world. The human envoy's silence was answer enough. Then the screens changed. New feeds came in from alien cities, showing shadows falling across the skies. Alien citizens looked up in terror as massive shapes appeared above their clouds. Human dropships, thousands of them, descending from orbit like falling stars. The Council froze, horror in their eyes. The war had come to their very homes. On the streets of their great capital, armored human soldiers landed. They moved in tight formations, rifles raised their boots, striking the alien ground with thunder. Civilians screamed and fled. Guards tried to form lines, but the humans advanced without pause, scattering defenders like leaves in a storm. Council delegates watched their people run in terror, their armies broken, their skies darkened by human craft. Their pride shattered before their eyes. The insectoid leader whispered, his voice trembling, "If they take the capital, if they take the Council itself." The human envoy looked around the hall, his calm voice cutting through the chaos. "Then the galaxy will finally learn the truth you refuse to see. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not beg. When threatened, humanity rises. The screens showed the battleship's cannon glowing hotter, its light reflecting across the alien homeworld's oceans and cities. Shadows stretched across continents as panic filled the streets below. The cliffhanger fell heavy, unshakable. Would Earth's battleship fire on a world? Or would humanity demand something even greater than destruction? The alien council chamber shook with fear. Delegates shouted over one another, their voices high with panic. The great screens above them showed their own world under siege. Human dropships streaked through their skies, landing in their cities, unleashing armored soldiers into their streets. The cries of their people echoed through live feeds. Terror, confusion, surrender, and above it all, Earth's battleship hovered in orbit, its cannons glowing brighter than suns. The councillors clung to hope that it was only a threat, a display of power. But as the glow built, bathing their planet in light, hope began to die. They cannot destroy a world, a feathered diplomat cried, feathers trembling. No species would commit such a crime. The reptilian general's scales twitched with terror and rage. They will! They are monsters! Do something! Stop them! But there was nothing to stop. At the center of the chamber, the human envoy stood silent. His face was calm, his hands folded behind his back, his eyes cold as stone. He did not need to speak. The sight of his battleship, its cannon glowing above their world, spoke louder than any words. The insectoid leader clattered his mandibles. Please, stop this madness. We will surrender. We will yield. For the first time since he had entered the chamber, the human envoy's expression shifted. He raised his head, his eyes sharp. His voice rang across the hall, deep and steady. You mocked us. You threatened us. You threw fleets upon fleets at us, and we endured. We did not want this war, but you left us no choice. And now you beg for mercy. The council chamber fell silent. Every alien held their breath. Mercy is not given lightly, the human envoy continued. It must be earned. Tell me, what have you earned? No one answered. On the screens, human soldiers stormed through alien capitals. They advanced without fear, without hesitation. Alien guards dropped their weapons, entire garrisons surrendering as black-armored humans raised their banners over council buildings. Cities that had never known defeat now bowed under Earth's shadow. The delegates wept, some covering their faces, some trembling openly. Their empire was breaking before their eyes. The cannon above their world glowed brighter. Oceans reflected its light like molten silver. Skies darkened under the shadow of the battleship. Whole continents stared upward, knowing a single shot would erase them forever. At last, the reptilian general broke. He sank to his knees, claws trembling, pride shattered. We yield, he hissed. The fleets, the armies, the worlds, they are yours. Only spare us from your wrath. Other councillors followed one by one, dropping to their knees, begging, crying out for life. The mighty council, once so proud, now cowered before the envoy of humanity. The human watched them for a long, silent moment. Then he spoke, his words cutting through the chamber like blades. Humanity asked only for peace. You denied it. Humanity asked only for respect. You mocked it. Humanity asked only to be left alone. You sent war. Now you see what comes of underestimating us. He lifted his hand, and the glow of the cannon dimmed. The light that threatened to erase a world began to fade. The chamber gasped in relief, though none dared to cheer. We will not destroy your homeworld today, the envoy said. But understand this, humanity does not forgive easily. We have shown you our power, not to end you, but to remind you. Never again will you raise your fleets against Earth. Never again will you mock our people as weak. If you do, then the cannon will fire. The council shuddered at his words. No one doubted him now. On the screens, human soldiers marched in victory. Alien generals handed over their weapons. Cities went dark under Earth's banners. Across the galaxy, word spread fast. The humans had humbled the mighty council, not with fleets, but with one ship, one battleship, and the will to use it. The insectoid leader whispered, broken. One ship, one world, and they defeated us all. The human envoy's gaze swept across the chamber one final time. His voice was calm, final. Remember this day. Remember what you saw. Humanity does not seek war, but if you bring it, we will end it. And we will always rise. The chamber fell into silence, heavy and absolute. No one dared to move. Above the alien homeworld, Earth's battleship slowly turned away. Its engines flared, its cannons folded back, its glow dimmed. It left behind not destruction, but something worse, fear that would last for generations. The galaxy would never laugh at Earth again. Closed with final weight. Humanity had spared them once, but what would happen if the Council ever forgot?